It's that time of the year again. Pumpkin spice, everything, Halloween decorations, leaves changing colors, and crisp morning air. The fall also brings some hazards we need to be cautious about. But with the right fall safety tips, you can still enjoy everything you love about this time of the year. Living in Canada means we get to enjoy 4 beautiful seasons, each with their own amazing features. But it's important to understand to stay safe in specific weather conditions. Number one, be cautious of back to school traffic. Be alert when you're crossing the street or driving in a school zone. People can be absent minded in the morning as they rush around trying to get their kids to school and make it to work on time. Be prepared for unexpected weather. Always be prepared if you're going out for the night, especially if you're going to be outdoors for any period of time. Make sure you have an extra jacket, scarf, or hat in case the temperature drops unexpectedly. If you don't have an emergency car kit in your vehicle, now is a good time to make sure you have one in there before winter starts. And lastly, wash your hands constantly. Wash your hands frequently and use hand sanitizers. If you can't wash them, anytime you touch a publicly used item, like a railing or a subway panel, make sure you lather up and avoid touching your face. Okay, that's everything. Now I will start with the word of the day. I'll just type. As word of the day master, my role is to choose a word to help members increase their vocabulary. Today I chose the word avow. Avow is to declare frankly or openly, acknowledge, confess, or admit. And my example for that is the senator was forced to avow openly that he had received some money from that company. If you hear anyone use the word of the day in today's meeting, do this or clap to acknowledge their usage. Now I will pass things on to our joke master, Stephen.
Thank you, Isabella. I avow that artificial intelligence is not always a good thing. Artificial intelligence is out of control. Technology is everywhere, in the cars, on your cell phone, at home. One speech by Elon Musk, he said, with the coming years, artificial intelligence is becoming more and more human. Is that a good thing? One day, my daughter, Joelle, is asking, hey, Google, what's the weather like today? You can check yourself. Hey, Google, what's wrong with you? Well, you can ask Siri. Since you play Siri a lot, why don't you ask Siri? Back to you, Ms. Chairperson.
Thank you, Stephen. Thanks for making us laugh today. And now I will pass things to our Toastmasters for today. She is our area director, and this is her last day participating in our Toastmasters meeting. But of course, she will always visit us, so we wouldn't really miss her that much. And now I would like to introduce Irma Gusin.
Yay! Irma Gusin! And the crowd goes crazy! Oh, that was the artificial intelligence robots doing that. And you can hear there's a dog in the background. And it's totally taking over our worlds. Did you know there is a restaurant in Canada who is now opening up with 2 robots? The one will come to your table and it will take your order and then go away. And then the other one will have your tray in place and it will bring that order to your table. Ripley's, believe it or not, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guest, it is with great pleasure I'm going to introduce our first official event for the day. Our Table Topics Master, Shelley, she shared with me that artificial intelligence is a force for both good and bad in our lives. That she can brag that she's always interested in learning new things as long as they are broken down into small chunks. And get this, Shelley thinks this makes her actually intelligent and not artificial at all. Shelley Werner, our Table Topics Master for today.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I'm going to share my screen. Can everybody see that? Somebody? Because I can't see you actually. So, well, there's been a lot of conversation about artificial intelligence already, but that doesn't stop asking people to reflect on some of these things very personally. So my first question is, what does artificial intelligence mean? And how can it affect people's lives? So I cannot see you and I cannot see the chat. So somebody's going to have to tell me who has their hand up, if you don't mind. Irma, can you see everybody?
I can go through and look for people, yes. Okay, go ahead. Anyone wanting to talk about artificial intelligence? Put your hand up and I will see you.
And if you want, yeah. So should I just pick somebody then?
Yeah, I think it's time.
Okay. Let's see who I got here. Christina, what does artificial intelligence mean and how can it affect people's lives?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I avow that I've never really thought about artificial intelligence, but I suppose there's a lot of thought that maybe we're not just alone and there are other beings, artificial or real. It probably makes us look inside ourselves a little more. If there are artificial intelligence, what is real intelligence? And what are we doing as real people? So I think sort of sharing information or creating information that's not true is probably not the best for our world and our global society. But I do think that there is value in sharing information that will make us stronger or more intelligent, artificial and real. So as far as artificial intelligence, I think it's probably something more in the future that we need to be more concerned about. And I look forward to one day meeting artificial when he comes to a Toastmaster meeting. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Christina, for being brave and taking on this question. I love the way you admitted when you started that you haven't really thought about it that much, because that was one of the things I thought when I saw the theme for today. But that said, you did a great job in allowing for the fact that we can find value in sharing information. My next question is something a little bit off center. What aspect of your life do you wish could be taken over by artificial intelligence? So give some thought to the things that you have in your life and let me know what you think you wish could be taken over by artificial intelligence. I cannot see people who have their hands up, so I'm going to just have to pick somebody. I do have 4 people on my screen, and I'm going to pick one of those people, and that is Bob Matheson. So, Bob, Can you give it a try?
Sure. What aspect of your life do you wish could be taken over by artificial intelligence? I guess when I think about that, probably the obvious answer to that would be a lot of the mundane tasks that we deal with every day. There are just so many things that we do that just really don't require a whole lot of thought and really are just time wasters. So, and I'm trying to think of some of those right now. And of course, my mind is going absolutely blank because we're doing table topics right now. It's a good thing that I'm the counter because I just put myself down for 2 and I don't think I had anybody else recorded. So I'm off to a really good start on that little task. I think that's about all I have to say about this subject, actually. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
That's very good for you to point us in the direction of mundane tasks. Because I myself was thinking, you know, I wouldn't mind if someone took over the house cleaning for me. If there was some sort of artificial intelligence that could show up at my door, some kind of I won't say a monster, I would say some kind of mechanical device that would automatically go from room to room, and that would help me out greatly. So I wouldn't mind that. What is one good thing or one bad thing about the influence of artificial intelligence? And while you're thinking about it, because this is a challenging topic, because you have to go through your mind, scroll through your experiences, and think of places where you might have encountered artificial intelligence, and then decide whether it's good or bad. I know that I can think of some things off the top of my head where I encounter it, and I'm not exactly sure how I feel about it, but I'm going to pick somebody who would love to tell us about their experience, either good or bad, when they've encountered artificial intelligence. Lisa, I know you're looking down, but you'd be happy to look up at me and tell me your thoughts about whether you found one good thing or one bad thing about artificial, or one bad thing about AI.
I was looking down because I'm the evaluator, but I would be happy to answer this table topic. If you have a smartphone, you have probably noticed that it can be quite intelligent at times. One of the features that I absolutely love and use all of the time is actually the dictation feature. This cuts me down on having to get my big fingers on those little keys as I'm trying to type out whether it's a text message or an email. Instead, I can hold my phone up to my mouth and I talk to it, and it does a reasonable job. I say reasonable because if you've ever used the dictation feature, you'll probably know that you need to go and edit those words that you spoke, because the autocorrect feature, or what Siri, in my case with my iPhone, thinks that I've said, is not always what I've actually said. So I want to caution you. If you use dictation, definitely proofread before you click send on that text or that email, as I have definitely experienced a lot of those oops moments when autocorrect has changed what I have said. So I think it's a great time saver and a great example of how artificial intelligence can help, but yet it still needs human intelligence to make it all the way to good.
Thank you, Lisa. That's a great answer. And I know that that dictation feature can take you into some troubled waters. I remember hearing about someone who was texting their sister and saying, Mom and Dad are getting directions, but it came across as Mom and Dad are getting a divorce. And the other sister went very wild when she realized that this was something she just learned about. So thank you for sharing those offbeat experiences with AI. So I have time for another question. This is very complicated and it's going to require a little ethics. Does a machine that seems human become entitled to human rights? Imagine in the future, you have a machine that thinks for itself, acts for itself. At what point do we determine that it becomes human and is entitled to rights of being a human? It's a little bit esoteric, but you can make whatever kind of connections that you like. I can't see anybody at all, so I can see Isabella, but I think you have a role. Can anyone help me with who's available to do this or volunteer?
I can.
Okay, thank you, Stephen.
No problem. Does a machine that seems human become entitled to human rights? Absolutely. As I mentioned that in the joke master over the day, and the artificial intelligence will become more and more human. In one day, the artificial intelligence will become a doctor, a worker. So eventually it will be acting like a person. And there's one thing as a person you cannot avoid. That is tax. So people are talking about how to tax the robots and artificial intelligence because they can produce products, they can make profits, they can even make themselves for generations. So it's a time to tax them for those profits. Back to you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Stephen. Thank you so much, Stephen. I can see you have strong feelings about that. And I never thought about the idea that they, in fact, could be taxed as a human being could be. I think we have time for one more quick one. Here is a question about other kinds of intelligence. Emotional intelligence is about being intuitive and empathic. Who is the most emotionally intelligent person that you know? Can anybody think about someone who is got a lot of intuition and is caring? That would be emotionally intelligent. Anybody want to volunteer for this last one?
I would like to do that, Shirley.
Okay, Irma, thank you.
The person, in my honest opinion, who is extremely intuitive and empathic and so emotionally intelligent is Marcy, our own Marcy. She is smart, she is funny, and she is a sounding board. She becomes your big sister. She becomes your confidant. She becomes your friend. She is in alignment with what's going on in the world. She has a sharp mind. She focuses on everything that's important. But at the end of the day, she stays unique to herself. I have to say, I love Marcy. She has taught me so much. She has become the big sister I never had. She always has an ear for anyone who feels that they need to talk to someone. If you need a mentor, if you need someone just to bounce ideas off from, talk to her. Because at the end of the day, nothing is going to take away from her experience. Nothing is going to take away from that soft, generous, tender-hearted person that she is. And that is what makes her, in my book, the most intelligent person I know. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Irma. I think we all agree that Marcy has a lot of those intuitive and empathetic qualities. She is emotionally intelligent. And I have to say, many of the people that I've met at Toastmasters are in that category. And with that, I'm at 12 minutes and 43 seconds. And I will pass the meeting back to Madam Toastmaster. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. I think we would all agree that artificial intelligence is here to stay. It is going to change our worlds. It is something that we can decide how we could use it to our advantage or how we are going to use it to become immoral and lose our values. Every person is unique, but it's up to us and to the rest of the folks out there to decide how are they going to deal with artificial intelligence. With that being said, we now get to our speaker, Leah, our esteemed president of the Fluor Communicators Club. Leah is an accomplished speaker. She's been working with United Way, very involved with it, and another emotional, intelligent person we could all look up to. Could Leah's evaluator, Christina, could you please give us your information on her speech?
Thanks so much, Toastmaster Irma. Leah's speech today is an icebreaker in innovative planning, and she is going to tell us about herself. Tell us about her. About her. Thanks, Irma.
Leah's speech is 4 minutes on green, 5 minutes on yellow, and 6 minutes on red. The journey of 1,000 miles. Leah, the journey of 1,000 miles.
Thanks, Irma. Most of us have heard the quote, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." And there are a few interpretations of this quote. To me, now it means that if you're faced with a challenge, you just have to take things step by step, and slowly and steadily you can make your way through. I learned this lesson this summer when I decided to take on the challenge of running a half marathon, and 21 kilometers felt a lot like 1,000 miles to me. It all started because my uncle, who is in his mid-30s and who helped raise me as a child, was diagnosed with cancer earlier this year. He had changed my diapers as a baby, and later on as I grew older, he was the one that showed up to all of my sporting events and tournaments and later pushed me to try out my first triathlon. We would go on to do a couple races and triathlons together, and in those races, the running distance was maximum 5 kilometers, which is half of what a regular triathlon was. And that distance for me was doable, but it was the swimming aspect that was really challenging. He still pushed me to give it a try, and we spent many mornings at 5 a.m. trying to teach me how to swim. This summer, after he was diagnosed, friends and family rallied. We wanted to show support for him because we couldn't be there at the hospital or in close contact with him due to COVID. And for my family, that just wasn't the norm. We were always there with each other. So we decided to start a community on social media where we would all set personal fitness goals and challenge ourselves like he had always done for us. We'd post for him daily, and the slogan somehow became, "Here with you every step of the way." So when I was thinking about a goal for myself, I thought back to how my uncle had pushed me in sports, and I decided to give myself the stretch goal of running a half marathon after about 13 weeks of training. At that point, anything over 5 kilometers seemed too long of a distance, let alone 21. I was honestly just worried my knees would fall apart because karate over the years has just left them in a really poor state. But with my uncle in mind, I laced up my running shoes and put one foot in front of the other over and over. It was honestly pretty hard at the beginning. I had never really learned to run long distances properly. I didn't know how hard it would be on the body. But after my first run, longer than 5 kilometers, I had blisters all over my feet, and I was sore in places I just didn't know you could be from running. But it was always the hardest to just leave the house. But after I took that first step out the door, it somehow felt a lot easier. And any time when I'd be running and I felt like slowing down, I remembered that what I was doing was easy compared to the chemo my uncle was enduring. He was having to sprint up hills after being pushed down over and over. So my steps this summer and the other athletic commitments his family and friends made were helping to keep his spirits up. And what I was doing had a purpose. Little did I know that running for my uncle would end up teaching me so much about myself. It gave me a newfound appreciation for what my body and mind could do. Every time I'd run a new record distance, I'd feel in awe of my body. And on those particularly longer runs, I learned it all came down to mental strength. Even when my body ached, I could keep going as long as my heart and my mind were in it. I also learned that I'm pretty self-disciplined. This had been a trait that I'd relied upon for so many things in my life, but it was in running that I actually realized this and appreciated it about myself. I would run in the morning while most people were asleep, in the heat, while on vacation, and in those moments I always just felt so accomplished after. I also learned that I would benefit from applying this step-by-step approach to the rest of my life. I had always put so much pressure on myself to achieve, to take on more and plan 5 and 10 years ahead. But when you're running along the river with the fall leaves changing color like they are now, and you're on your 16th kilometer and feel like giving up, it's hard not to be present and just be thinking of how you're going to take that next step. Running really put challenges in my life in perspective. All I had to do to overcome them was take them one step at a time. Lastly, I learned how much of who I am is shaped by my uncle and my family. We've all faced challenges over the years, and we've all gotten through them together. So I'm running my half marathon this Saturday, and looking back, it's just crazy how the power of these tiny little steps all put together created a person that no longer finds 21 kilometers so daunting. So yes, the 1,000-mile journey begins with a single step, but what I also take away is that whatever journey my family or myself is on, that we never have to do it alone. Thank you.
Marathon, hey, could we have 1 minute silence, Isabella, for Christina to do her evaluation, please? If anyone else wanted to give Leah some feedback, I'll get into the evaluation form of or evaluation side of our today. Every speech gets evaluated. Every meeting gets evaluated. That is the way we as Toastmasters can improve in the way we look at meetings, in the way we run the meetings, and the way we also would perform our speeches. Our general table topics evaluator for today is Miss Lisa Branch.
I avow that table topics are tough. And today we saw a little bit of that toughness coming out. So I want to start off by applauding all of you who didn't look at the person who was assigning you to be a speaker. And for those of you who volunteered, thank you for being brave. I'd like to go over a few aspects of our table topic speakers to give them some feedback, and also for the rest of us to kind of maybe pick up some ideas of what we could have done in that situation. Let's take a look at Christina's speech. First of all, she used the word of the day, woohoo! And you know what, she was honest and she said, I've never really thought about this. So I thought this was a really good example of when somebody asks you a question or wants your opinion, and you honestly, it's not a topic that you have a pat answer to or that you already have an opinion formed. And Christina kind of walked us through the process. I liked how she used the words, I think. So you knew that, you know, she was sharing her thoughts with us. And then towards the end, she had a I look forward to. Okay, so she was going somewhere with her thoughts and had some future to it. And I think that's a really great way to do it. Another thing that I noticed is she didn't feel it necessary to use up the full 2 minutes, right? She kept it short and simple and didn't ramble, which I sometimes need to keep that in mind, that just because I have an opportunity to speak doesn't mean I need to drag it out. Bob used a really great technique when he was answering his question. He repeated the question, which helps us to understand where he's going, gives him some time to think about it. And he had an answer, and I think we were all kind of waiting for that list of all the mundane items that he could come up with. And then we kind of stalled a little bit. a great technique that Bob used was humor, right? Oh, well, I'm the all counter and I've just written myself down for 2, right? And it really takes away maybe some awkwardness that might be building. So that's a great technique for us to use in real life when, we're not sure what to say or how to go about that. Humor is amazing. So Bob really, even though he couldn't, pull up a really nice in a bow table topic for that, he handled it in such a disarming way. It was wonderful to have that as an example. So thank you for that. When Stephen answered, I love how definitive he was. Absolutely, right? He knew his answer and he backed up that opinion with his reasons. And I thought that was a really great way to execute a table topic as well. And Irma, what a great tribute for Marcy. I hope we recorded it and we can send it to her so that she can hear all of that. An idea that I had though, I wonder what it would have been like if you had asked the people a couple questions. Do you know someone who is, and then you start listing off some of the qualifications that you were thinking of, and maybe you could have created a little bit more suspense by doing the reveal maybe towards the middle or the end, rather than saying, here's the person and then doing it, and having a little bit of fun with that, kind of teasing that, maybe we think we know who it is, but we don't really know. But again, a great example. Did you notice how Irma repeated the question at the end, kind of just wrapped it up? That was a great conclusion to give it with the full answer. So that was really well done. Thank you for that. That's all my comments for our table topics today.
But it's not your evaluation. Christina is going to talk about your table topics.
Thanks, Irma. I loved your energy and enthusiasm right from the very beginning. Lisa, you had a very strong, confident voice and you knew your topic really well. You showed us the phone. You used the camera very effectively in the way that you approached to make things more emphasized, and you actually used your hands. Your gestures were showing. So I really like that. I thought you did a superb job of your eye contact watching the camera the whole time. I like that you actually had some information for us about this dictation feature is so great. And there's so many ways why I like this feature. So I thought it was a very confident table topics. It was interesting with relevant information, and your Zoom manner or your WebEx manner is very strong in front of the camera. Irma.
Thank you, Christina. I am going to follow the agenda today because it's a little bit different to what we usually do. The general evaluator would call upon the evaluator for the speaker. But today I am going to call on Christina to evaluate Leia's speech. Please, Christina.
Thank you, Irma. And thank you, Leia. I avow that your topic today reached all the athletes, reached all the people with planning, and reached all the people in our lives on how they could be better. You had some super, super strong points in your speech today. I like when somebody uses a quote and then talks about, to me, this quote means. So a lot of people will quote somebody else, but they don't say why it's relevant. And you did right from the beginning. Journey begins with 1,000 steps. Half marathon, you had my attention right away. I think that's an incredible feat that you've achieved. And then I loved how you made it so personal. This was about my uncle. We're all in this together. He was there for my diapers and all my sporting events. And what a beautiful tribute that you would pick something athletic to honor him with. And I'm a great admirer of anybody who does a triathlon, especially when the swimming can be the difficult one. So well done, you. A huge tribute to your uncle. I love the way you put words together. Leia, you had some really great phrases, always there with each other. It was not normal for us to be the way we are. We're here with you every step of the way. That sounds like a banner you could have carried while you ran, or the whole crowd down the side would have had for you. I found out that I was sore in places I didn't know could hurt from running. And as I struggled with my run, it made me think of him. And I think having that kind of push is really amazing. You stood. I'm so impressed with people who stand on camera to do their speeches. and you were able to use gestures, and your eye contact was really good. Now, I went from gallery view to speaker view. When you're the whole thing, people can actually see where your eyes are, but I thought it was really good. The way you presented and your manner in front. You're extremely confident and a strong presenter that way. What I loved about the conclusion was the way you wrapped it up. Doing this whole thing for my uncle and what it taught me to appreciate my mind and body. I have to quote Marshall Ennis, strong in body, stronger in mind. It's been his tagline forever. And it is a lesson we learn when we go through something like this. And I love the way you expressed it. I felt so accomplished. And you put it into words, things that I've done before. And I think that's why I like doing it, because at the end, I feel so accomplished. And then being able to apply that step-by-step approach in life in the way that you planned. It was a really good lesson, too, for us to learn to be present. So I think you have a really gentle way of saying, here's some lessons I learned. Maybe this will help you in your future. So the challenges that we hit in our lives, whether they're the run or the triathlon or whatever, what your uncle was going through, we just go after it one step at a time. And all these tiny little steps put together help us get to the end of our journey. I thought that was a brilliant takeaway. I can't believe that's an icebreaker speech, Leah. Fabulous job today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christina. An amazing evaluation for lovely speaker, and thank you for that. I'm now going to ask Ben. Ben, are you still around? I see you are locked in. He is our general evaluator for today. If you could tell us how the meeting went, and then you can call on the grammarian your R counter, which would be Bob, and then the timekeeper, which is Isabella in this case, please.
Thanks, Omar. So let me first call the grammar report. Who's the grammar, sorry? Bob?
Yeah, that was me. Today's job was really incredibly easy. I really didn't hear any grammatical errors at all. We obviously have a lot of accomplished speakers in our club, and they really shone today. So really nothing for me to report.
Okay, good. Thank you, Bob. And who is Isabella at the timer, right?
The R counter, as I just said, the R counter. So Bob, also the R counter. Did you manage to count any filler words, Bob?
Well, ironically, yes, I did. And unfortunately, I was the only one guilty today. I said 3 times in my table topics. So, sorry guys, but kudos to the rest of you. You did an awesome job.
Thank you, Bob. And Ben, if you could tell us your evaluation for the whole meeting, please.
Okay. Thank you, Omar. Look like I have plenty of time. So Isabella and Euro is a chairperson. I like you come to the meeting early and you confirm the roles, and also I like you to adjust the schedule when like only have one speakers, and you told the table topics master that we can have more table topics. I think so. This is really good. You showed flexibility, and also I like you start the meeting on time, and so we can finish ahead of time maybe today. And so one thing maybe you missed that you probably forgot to introduce our guest. Do we have guests, right? Valerie is our guest, right? Yeah. So maybe next time, we check the attendees, check the participants with the guests. Maybe just introduce the guests. Okay.
Thank you, Benjamin, and thank you for having me, everyone.
Okay. So we will have your comments after that, okay?
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. Omar, as a Toastmaster, I really like you. You are always smiling, you are energetic, and so that sets the tone of the meeting, and so create a very positive environment for the meeting. And Table Topics Master Shirley, and your questions are very appropriate, and you put lots of thoughts of the questions. I think you these questions are very well prepared, and also you move questions from easier to more difficult ones. So that's very good. And also you add comments between each table topics, so we make the tabletop session transition more smoothly. And one thing maybe you can, like, you can mention that when you pick up the like, we have 4 volunteers, and so when you pick up who is going to speak, and you can check the participation, the agenda. If maybe I would like to prefer to give to somebody don't have any roles, right? And these are table topics evaluator. Lisa, I really like your hand gesture, and also you have very vivid facial expressions, and you are energetic, and you are very articulate, and you pay attention to the details of the tabletop speakers. And the one thing you probably missed is the suggestions for improvements. You only mentioned it to Irma, but you didn't mention to other speakers. Christina, I really like you. I pay attention to every details of Diane's speech, and you have very good hand gesture, and also vivid facial expression, and this is we all need to learn. And maybe I think you point out all are the positive area of the end speech, but I didn't hear any, like, you give some suggestions so she can work on to improve. Okay, I think this my general comments of the meeting. Go back to Emma.
Thank you, Ben. That was great, looking at the overall meeting and how we conducted the meeting. Isabella, if you could please give us the timing for the rest of the meeting, I would appreciate it.
Thanks, Irma. As a timer, my role is to remind, record, and report the time used by each speaker when they are delivering speeches. So Christina, for tabletop, Christina spoke for 58 seconds. Bob spoke for 43 seconds. Lisa spoke for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Stephen spoke for 1 minute. And lastly, Irma spoke for 1 minute and 32 seconds. Leah spoke for 5 minutes and 20 seconds. And for the evaluations, Lisa went over and she spoke for 3 minutes and 50 seconds. And Christina's evaluation for Lisa, she spoke for 43 seconds. And lastly, the evaluation for Leah by Christina was 2 minutes and 54 seconds. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Isabella. I would like to ask if anyone has any comments about what you saw on your screen today. How did you think we performed while listening to everyone speak? And the floor is open, as well as our guest, Valerie, if you wanted to jump in and tell us your opinion, your feelings, how you felt things went, and if you are perhaps would like to join this wonderful club. Great. But let us know, what are your thoughts on this meeting?
I'm just so grateful. This is my second time as a management rep. So I want to thank you again for inviting me. I'm so emotionally moved by the group of you. I love your participation and your eagerness and what's the right word? I'm stumbling, but your not intense. Sorry, it's escaping me, but You're all so eager in your participation and honest and authentic. And I really appreciate how, like I said to Leah in the chat, that, you know, she really didn't underestimate her audience. I feel like there's so much in the world, even TED Talks sometimes, I feel like there's almost like a TV anchor speak where people are talking down to us too much. And I really appreciated, Leah, you didn't do that. And yet I was really moved by how authentic and vulnerable you were about the topic. And that made it more interesting. The topic itself is interesting, but you added that authenticity and vulnerability that really made it personal and really, really had an impact on me. So thank you. Thank you to everyone, and particularly to Leah and the rest of the speakers. So good on you. I'm very impressed.
Thank you, Val. Anyone else? How did you feel the meeting went today? What would you like to see? How can it be done different? What would you like to add? And also, if there are any announcements, that would be great. I know I have one. So while we are waiting for you to get your thoughts together, this on the 1st and the 2nd, Ruby will have training for how to create breakout rooms on Zoom. If you are interested, please let us know. There will probably be more people than what can be held. Christina can talk more on that because she was working with Ruby on that. But think about it if you want to know how things work behind the scenes with Zoom. Any thoughts, Christina?
I think it's a valuable opportunity for us to learn. We're going to be doing this online for a while, and we seem to count on the same people over and over again to open the meeting and get us all technically smart. So we all know Ruby. It's a great opportunity to support her, and you will walk away with some pretty strong skills that'll help not just the club, but Irma as an area director and possibly even at the district level.
Thank you, Christina. Any other thoughts before I give this over to our chairperson of the day?
I just have a quick reminder. We have a Club Humorous contest planned for October 20th, and I know that there are still some vacant roles, some judging opportunities, so if you'd like to take part, if you haven't before, we will walk you through exactly how to be a judge or how to take part in a contest. And also we're looking for contestants, so if you are funny or if you want to practice adding some humor into your speeches, then this is a great opportunity. So you can find those roles right on Easy Speak, and that's for October 20th. Thanks.
And on that note, October 23rd is our area contest. For you, those of you who don't know what that is, it's when all 5 clubs in our area, which is area 23 in Division D, when we get together and we compete against one another. So we will be looking for judges, ballot counters, timekeepers. Think about signing up. It's a great experience when you step outside of the club. With no further ado, I will give the meeting back, hand it back over to our chairperson of the day, Isabella, and also our VP of membership. Thank you, Isabella.
Thank you so much, Irma, for being our Toastmaster today. And thank you to everyone who participated in today's meeting. I think I just have one announcement. We have a new member today. Catherine joined us last week, and this is her first day joining us officially. Catherine, do you want to say anything?
I do, sorry, just needed to unmute. Yeah, I'm delighted to become a member. I'm a little shy. It's going to take me a while to jump into those moments of participation, but yeah, I will build up the courage to do it. I'm determined. But yeah, this is a great opportunity. I'm sorry.
I know you're participating next week to be the ad counter, so
I am, and yeah, I might have some questions about that, Isabella, but that's okay. You and I can speak about that. But yeah, so next week I will officially speak. How's that? So thank you.
thanks, Catherine. Does anyone have any announcements? Oh, Christina has one. Go ahead.
I just found this out, and I don't know if it's on the tub yet, but Lisa has been nominated as President of the Year. So for last year's leadership, congratulations, Lisa. That's not every president of a club that has the opportunity. There's some requirements, and Fluor rallied around you, and you've got all the points that you need. But we now need to submit a nomination on behalf of Lisa so that she can go to the next level, which is division, and then maybe possibly district president of the year. So congratulations, Lisa, and congratulations to your team for last year. What an awesome year we had. And if you haven't read Amanda's newsletter yet, there's some really good reasons in that newsletter why we had such a spectacular year. So take a look. Way to go, Lisa.
Congratulations, Lisa. Thanks, Christina. And I think that's the end of our meeting. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
See you later, everyone.